Start your engines!
But finally, the fastest racing on Earth is back as the field hurdles to green and we are racing in St. Pete. Scott McLaughlin immediately going on the defensive. It's a good start from Marcus Ericsson. A good look up the inside from Dennis Hauger. Do they make it through cleanly? They all appear to do so, and Scott McLaughlin holds the lead from the pole, and Hauger has lost one place, and that is to the champion, Alex Palou. Big move on the rookie, and that is another position gained, but a crash, and big crash behind. There's two cars in the barrier. Stingray Rob, I believe, is one of them. Full course yellow. Oh, and that is Mick Schumacher in there as well, and Marcus Armstrong.
I don't think that's Marcus Armstrong.
I believe Stingray Rob and Mick Schumacher.
So let's take a look at everybody weaving down into turn 4. Keep your eyes towards the rear of the field. That's where it's all going to happen.
You see that 3 wide happen before. Okay, so it's Ferrucci and Stingray Rob side by side going in, and Mick Schumacher
making his IndyCar debut over before it started. An innocent victim really in that. Foster, Felix Rosenquist and Pato O'Ward, who's lost 2 places from his P8 starting point. McLaughlin gets his foot to the floor. We have a green flag, and once again we're racing. Riding on board with the pole sitter and our race leader on the run down to turn 1. Malukas with a big lockup down into turn 1. Almost contact from behind by Romain Grosjean as again they file through the tricky turn 2 and turn 3. And I'm hearing that Stingray Rob, who did manage to continue, will be given a penalty for avoidable contract.
Yeah, easy call there for the stewards. As we see a big lunge now, that's Will Power on the inside of Kiffin Simpson. He's on those hard tires, and you could tell on the exit, trying to get back to Power. TWJ AI on board showing us now, looking back at Kiffin, who's been having a great weekend himself.
Nice to see Will Power confident and aggressive early. It's been a tough weekend for him, finding the balance and the chemistry in his new team, but in the cockpit we know he's fierce, making moves. He's up to 13th.
And not just confident, Townsend, confident on the brakes, which has been the #1 issue on that 26 machine this weekend.
Well, not just for Will Power. We saw the Malukas lock up there. Stingray obviously with a massive one there at the start of the race. So several drivers trying to find the feel of those front tires as we take a look at David Malukas. Just recently here in turn 1, there's that left front. That's a big flat spot, James.
Yeah, that's not gonna feel great once you're going 180 miles an hour. You can see he gets onto that paint, and as soon as he crosses onto the paint, that left front, oh, you can see the vibration in the wheel.
Yeah, that's gonna make for a long first stint, Will. If the vibration is as big as I would expect, it's kind of a miserable situation with about 25 laps still to go. McLaughlin, pole sitter, certainly a championship favorite. And Marcus Ericsson, an Indy 500 winner. He's won here before as well on the streets, but his contract is up for renewal at the end of the season, as David Malukas, meanwhile, has had contact to the left front. I'm not sure if that's just a flat spot issue.
The flat spot may have worn all the way down, that massive flat spot we saw.
Let's get a replay of that. Does he brush
did he
the
get
wall?
Into the fence? I think you're right, James. I think that's from the big
it's
lockup we saw in turn 1. And that flat spot just continued to develop into a much bigger issue.
It's a flat spot leading to a delamination of the front left.
Yeah, he didn't hit the wall with the front, so that's just, when we talked about that being a big flat spot, here's his onboard. Yeah, you just see it start to go.
Now what he's got to do is do anything he can to try to nurse it, get to that apex. Is he going to make it? No, he's got to take the overshoot.
Stalling luck for David Malukas, where a big emerging story while we were away. Will Power in pit lane, damaged rear suspension, seemingly out of the race after contact with the wall. What an unfortunate weekend for Will Power on his huge headline move to Andretti. So we ride on board with the driver of the 26 car, and it's turn 10 where he crashed in practice.
Unbelievable. This is the exact same crash as practice. Carbon
fiber going everywhere.
Wow.
Been struggling with the brakes all weekend long. You just wonder if they weren't able to get them on the top 3.
And I talked to Marcus Armstrong before he jumped in the car. He said he was calm, cool, and collected. And something big for them this year is consistency from last year. Pretty much everyone on his stand is the exact same. They had a year to grow together. Big crash.
Big spin down there at turn 1. And that is Christian Rasmussen in the ECR, who had made up a ton of places and was racing so well. As now Newgarden and Simpson go side by side, and Dixon will try to go round his teammate as well. Can't find a way through, but Newgarden pouncing opportunistically and making up another place. Great stuff from him. Up to 12th, having started at the back of the field.
And we stay green. Christian Rasmussen able to get the number 21 machine going.
Good job getting through there. Let's stay in touch with the 15 and the 27 ahead.
Dixon making a move on his teammate Kiffin Simpson up the inside of turn 10. Dixon pushing forward. That'll put him into 13th. Remember, Scott Dixon pitted on lap 2, took fuel. How many times have we seen that strategy work for this guy?
He pit on lap 2 to get rid of the softs. Then he pit again on lap 5, I think it was, before we went green to top off with fuel. But let's take a look at what happened with Rasmussen. Help, it looks like, from the CGR machine of Kiffin Simpson.
You're not wrong, Hinch. Front left on Simpson to rear right of Rasmussen. Spins him round. Simpson continues, but will lose places. And that's how he succumbed to the advances of Newgarden. On board with Graham Rahal, a spectator to the incident ahead.
Handling characteristic than another, and that's going to be different car to car. So we know you have to run 2 softs. Whether you run a third or a second set of hards is going to just come down to driver preference.
Well, and here's where it gets interesting for strategy, because Scott McLaughlin is coming up to the car of Christian Rasmussen, who had that contact down at turn 1. Now, if you're new to IndyCar, yes, Rasmussen will know that the leader is behind him, but no, he does not have to let him past. He can fight for his right to stay on the lead lap. McLaughlin leads Ericsson now by 0.6 of a second. The Andretti driver doing a wonderful job to keep the pole sitter well in sight. 30 laps completed here on the streets of St. Pete. But the leader is in. Scott McLaughlin on pit road. Marcus Ericsson takes over at the head of the field, and waiting for Scott McLaughlin will be Kevin Lee.
And it has gone according to plan so far. When I checked in with the team, they simply wanted him to go long, and they didn't want to caution somewhere in the late 20s. So they are in position to potentially be able to do this on a 2-stopper. This is their used set of softs. They still have a set of new later on, but can they make this used set last long enough?
McLaughlin pits, Grosjean pits, Newgarden pits, Graham Rahal pits as well. So Marcus Ericsson now leads this race from Alex Palou and Marcus Armstrong. We sit on board with Joseph Newgarden, one of the biggest leaders in the race, one of the biggest overtakers in the race so far. Joseph Newgarden, who started from his worst ever qualifying position here of 23rd.
But this in-lap from Ericsson is everything right now. Such a good job from him to save enough fuel to make an extra lap. Now he's going to be coming into pit lane, Jack. It's all down to what happens in pit lane.
It sure does, James. This is a critical part of the race, with that group being so tight. In and out laps, absolutely huge. Marcus on his stand has Robert Wickens, just been inducted into the Canadian Racing Drivers Hall of Fame. It's a really strong group. Marcus is a race winner here, no doubt going to get it done. Dennis Hauger has gone to the new soft tire. He might be a rookie, but he is not showing it today.
Marcus Ericsson on used soft tires as he comes down pit lane. We'll be looking for the car, the deck Chevy of Scott McLaughlin.
And there it
is at the apex of one.
Turn 1, Ericsson exits the pits and will exit ahead of Scott McLaughlin. That is essentially for the lead of the race.
For now, because Ericsson's tires are cold.
Oh my word, that's close.
That is not the time to throw the big block, Marcus. Here comes McLaughlin.
He's not racing, Rossi. He should not have lost that much time. Now McLaughlin's got 1 lap of heat in his tires. He's got, it's softs to softs. The tire compounds are even, but it's big pressure now to get off of turn 9 right here for Ericsson. Can he do it clean?
Ericsson needs to have eyes forward, but eyes in his mirrors. McLaughlin will be all over him with his tires up to temperature. Can McLaughlin make it through at 10? Has a look. Ericsson has it covered.
Ericsson did that little bit of foul.
He's hit the wall.
Hit the wall with his right rear. I think he'll be okay if he can hang on. It wasn't that hard of a hit.
It wasn't that hard of a hit, but it's going to give him a little bit of hesitation here into 13 and 14. Car looks really hooked up. Front end turning around there. Good launch off the corner.
But how much of a run did McLaughlin get off that final corner? Tucked up in the slipstream behind Marcus Ericsson. Doesn't look close enough to have a look at the moment. So Ericsson will hold that position over Scott McLaughlin, but critically, Alex Palou has managed to stay out, and I think Marcus Armstrong has got ahead of both of them. Was that Armstrong leaving the pits?
I think you're right. Here he goes.
It was. Armstrong goes to defend. There is contact between them, but Ericsson barges his way past. Barges past, but loses part of his car on the way through. That's a critical move for Marcus Ericsson.
This has been a dicey couple laps for Ericsson, but he managed to hang on, and now he's got cover because Armstrong's on cold tires. McLaughlin is held up. This is so important for Ericsson to get away.
McLaughlin hunting him down through the turn and looking to tend, and Armstrong defends. McLaughlin will have to go around the outside. You can't fit two down there. There is a touch. Armstrong somehow holds on.
Armstrong holds on. How did McLaughlin hold on? I have never seen an outside pass in 10 work. That was unreal. The Kiwi on the Kiwi.
Meanwhile, guys, Alex Palou on pit lane. The number 10 DHL car just stopped and serviced and leaving. This is about to get even more crazy as Palou blends out.
And Palou blends out with ease, far ahead of Marcus Ericsson. He's got almost the entire stretch of the run down to turn 4.
Wow.
Those extra laps, we call that the overcut. When you run longer in a stint than the guys you're racing, you get that lap on hot tires going quick while they're getting up to speed on cold tires, and it has that crossover. It's been so impressive.
Stops to make it to the finish. All of the lead cars like Alex Palou, Ericsson, McLaughlin, just one more stop, we think, to get to the end.
Dixon's lost right rear.
Tire.
There you see the right rear bouncing further down the pit lane, sitting up on there.
That's going to be a full course caution. There it is. And that's going to hurt the likes of Foster, VK, Rossi. Luckily, had Palou not yet pit, he would have been absolutely hosed on that. The timing was so fortunate. Under caution, they're going to lose so much, but let's see a replay. Dixon right out of the pits,
was
down into
tight.
turn 4. You can very much, but
it was hot. Gassed, man.
It was hot in a truck when you've got the roof over top and the engine in front, even more.
These guys are getting hot on track right now, Will.
They most certainly are. That is the fight for the final podium places. That is Kyle Kirkwood. That is Scott McLaughlin. And behind them, that is Christian Lundgaard. Kirkwood in the navy and gold car, McLaughlin in the red and white car that we ride on board with now. And this, Christian Lundgaard, Fan Fest at Arlington, sponsors this camera angle. 3 drivers, 2 places left on the podium. Could be anyone's right now, and Lundgaard looks very spicy.
And let's hear from Christian Lundgaard. He's been on the radio to his crew about McLaughlin in front.
Is Scotty tight on fuel? He just did 1 lap less than us, so he's probably okay. Yeah, well, we need to get Chevy on him. Go pressure him to save more fuel or go faster.
He knows that Kirkwood's got a number to hit. McLaughlin's looking. He's saying go pressure Kirkwood, force him to try to use more fuel, which hopefully has him either run out or just really have to bail out and not put up a fight.
But Scott McLaughlin told us before the start of the race today, his eyes are on the championship. It's on execution, and you do that by making great decisions. He's going to wait for a high percentage opportunity if he makes a move.
Right now, about applying pressure, but an early lift, as you were saying, Townsend, earlier, all about that coast to try and save a bit of fuel, so he'll have it to push. 7 to go here in St. Pete. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, split by inches.
So to Lundgaard's point, McLaughlin is saving a little bit of fuel. He has 1 lap less on board than the number 7.
And I've given Christian Lundgaard, on occasion, the nickname Lungeguard because the lunge from Lundgaard is so effective. He's one of the best drivers in the series at thrusting into the corner on the brakes and making a pass happen when drivers least expect it.
And now McLaughlin has a look, and now McLaughlin goes up on the inside of Kirkwood. That's 2nd place back for McLaughlin, and can Lundgaard take advantage as well? They run side by side into the final sweepers, and he does. It's 3rd place for Christian Lundgaard, and Kirkwood drops from 2nd to 4th.
Super brave pass from Christian Lundgaard to go the outside too wide through that very fast kink.
Very brave, and look right here, both those guys in the middle using their push to pass. Kirkwood as well, 51 seconds for McLaughlin, 41 seconds for Lundgaard. But if Lundgaard has more fuel, he's going to have more freedom to use that button. When you're short on fuel, the engineers...
Overtake now efficient. He's got 41 behind, 41.
That's what we hear, an efficient overtake. He is being allowed to use a little bit, but you're not allowed to use a full pull down the straightaway. That's little bursts out of the corners to get a jump, but you cannot afford to burn the fuel that comes with a full pull from turn 14 to turn 1.
So he has more push to pass, but because he has less fuel, he can't use it.
Take a look at this pass here from Scott McLaughlin inside of Kyle Kirkwood in turn 10, and now the papaya McLaren of Christian Lundgaard to the outside. High sketch factor right there. He just narrowly gets right back into the groove before hitting the marbles.
Great stuff. Instinctive from McLaughlin, and then just that reactionary pass from Lundgaard to take the advantage, take the position. Beautiful driving from those two.
This is the one I want to see right here. This was a bold move. Gets on the button. You see the green lights up on the dash, and the turn in, the commitment. At this point of the race, that is a one-lane bit of racetrack.
And Kyle Kirkwood saved the day there for Lundgaard. Kirkwood could have easily stayed in the throttle as we see McLaughlin going past. But Kirkwood could have forced the issue right here. And if he did, it would have been Lundgaard hard into the...
Start your engine!
Hey, Clint Boyer. What's going on, bud?
Slow down! This thing feels loose! Very loose!
You're not even going yet.
Whoa, whoa! Townsend, this is a bad. I can't hardly hear you, but way too fast. I feel like I'm in a damn bobsled going way too fast.
It looks like you're in a bobsled. It's been a while probably since you've seen 4 tires exposed like that. You got 2 airplane wings, front and rear. I know you're a pilot. Does this feel more like a jet or a race car?
Townsend, this thing has too many wings on it to be on the ground. It ought to be in the air. I can finally hear you. I can finally breathe. I may have relieved myself just a little bit. Gabby just scared me. That was way too fast.
Guys at Fox said they've got a spare car for you if you want to jump out and jump into a single-seater and get into this field.
I'm going to jump into the grandstands. I'm going to watch this race. I'm so pumped to watch this. I'm so glad this event finally happened. What an event for a fan to watch both of these spectacles with IndyCar and NASCAR. Thanks for the ride. That was a hell of a ride. Woo!
All right, buddy, you're feeling it. Thanks for doing it with us.
Beautiful stuff. Everybody out on track, safe for Romain Grosjean, who is stuck on pit lane. But guys, let's have a look around this track on the track preview, sponsored by Honda.
Yeah, 1 mile oval here at Phoenix. Start finish in a different place than it was last time we were here. You go through the dogleg and now into what we're calling turns 1 and 2. 186 miles an hour top speed going in there in qualifying, only down to 176 mile an hour minimum speed. These things are so fast on that side of the racetrack. Then hit about the same top speed down into 3 and 4. More narrow corner, tighter radius, higher banking, about 11 degrees through here. Bigger lift, maybe down a gear or 2, then feed that power back on to finish one of the 250 laps we're going to do here.
The 24 cars of the NTT IndyCar Series 2 to go until we roll to green. The 25th car, that of Romain Grosjean, has been having issues all the way through this weekend with the hybrid system on his car. They're rolling him down pit lane. Jack can tell us more.
Actually, Will, I'm standing in the box of the number 15 of Graham Rahal. Obviously, a great buddy of mine. We've been teammates for a long time. This is the best start that he's had on a short oval since 2008. Let that sink in a second. This is some huge improvement from this race team. And also, in his 3 starts here at Phoenix, he's finished in the top 10 here twice. Georgia.
Hey, Jack, I'm standing in the 26 box. Not the start to his season he wanted. DNF in St. Petersburg. He comes into this race. He's going to start 25th, a crash in qualifying. But he told me, I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to underdo it. All I can do is my best. And he is going to start 25th. Kevin.
Penske driver David Maluka scored his first pole. Today might be the day he gets that first win.
It might indeed, Kevin. He will lead us to green alongside him. Joseph Newgarden, winner when we last raced here in 2018. Behind them, the RLL duo of Graham Rahal and rookie Mick Schumacher, who has never raced on an oval before. Malukas will take us to green, into 3, around to 4. 250 laps ahead of us here in Phoenix for the Good Ranchers 250. We are green, we are racing, and immediately Newgarden attempted to go round the outside of his teammate. It's close as we go 3, 4 wide, into 1, into 2, but Malukas carries the pace, keeps the lead.
Oh, you could see that Newgarden was hanging back on the start, thought he was going to jump his young teammate, but Malukas was having none of it with a great gap to start things off. Meanwhile, Alexander Rossi right up there to 3rd, looking really good in the opening lap.
And if Rossi's had a good start, keep your eyes on the champion. There he goes around the outside, making up another position. A brilliant start for the champion. Now on the back of Graham Rahal as Mick Schumacher fights to keep a hold of his place and is falling back.
James, we weren't sure what the highline was going to look like, but it is working really well.
And not from the guy you'd most expect it to. Alex Palou just passed Graham Rahal, now up into P4. He started 10th, guys. He's on an absolute charge. He wants to keep that 100% win streak on the season going.
Astonishing start from the champion, but Malukas is stretching his legs out front, moving to Penske this season. A pole on just his 2nd race for the captain, Roger Penske. He loves a short oval as we go 2 wide. Scott Dixon making the pass, and up and underneath Dennis Hauger having a look there, the rookie.
Dixon saying, kid, that's not how we do it here. You got to learn your piece here. You got to mind your P's and Q's early in the laps, as we saw 3 wide developing behind this train here.
And Dennis Hauger there down on the apron as Dixon gave him a little fade on the backstretch. And now here comes Will Power to the high side.
Wow. Wonderful move from Power, but look at the gap already for David Malukas. We ride on board now with Will Power. A difficult start to his relationship. That is all too easy around Nolan Siegel. Difficult start in St. Pete for him and the Andretti partnership. A difficult continuation here this weekend with a crash in qualifying. Oh my goodness, and he's going high, looking around his teammate Marcus Ericsson. If there is one driver who knows how to fight his way through on a short oval, it is Will Power. This is precisely one of the reasons that Andretti wanted him in one of their cars, was to bring them that pace on short ovals.
Still clear by 5, that's Marcus ahead of you.
You see Ericsson there trying to get some clean air from the car in front, but that's leaving the bottom of the racetrack open for Power now, who's got a great run off of 4, trying to line up the 28. Is he going to go high? He committed early. Look at Ericsson just chilling up there in that kind of 1.5 lane there, T-Bell.
We weren't really sure what that 2nd lane was going to look like, and I'm really pleased to see everybody starting to experiment there. Now we see them start to slot a little bit more single file as Power works the low side to Ericsson here.
And you know what, guys? I love the fact that it's not easy for Power to just go through on the bottom. For me, Ericsson's doing the right thing here. He might be losing a couple places, a little bit of track position early, but he's getting those laps, getting that experience up in that high lane, which is going to be so important later in this stint and later in this race.
I'm still recovering from the fact that our surgically precise Alex Palou, who's known for making high percentage decisions, just went absolutely big time on the start, threw caution to the wind, and went to the high side to great effect. That bravery really paid off, up 6 spots.
And guys, can we just have a word for Rinus VK, who has moved over to Junkos Hollinger Racing, is currently running 5th behind Alex Palou. A brilliant start for the Dutchman. Such a racy driver. And that is Dennis Hauger fighting with Christian Rasmussen. Rasmussen, who we know is such a joyous watch on a short oval, but we also know is the driver that was voted by his fellow IndyCar drivers as the one they would give the widest berth to. Oh my goodness! And that is Hauger.
You're clear. Going to be yellow behind you.
Oh my goodness. Keep it straight, kid.
Did he keep it out of the wall?
He did.
I think
Get on the brakes.
Yep. Oh boy.
Goodness me.
Turn.
Unbelievable.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I don't think I've ever seen that before in an IndyCar. That was wild.
That is control. From out of control to back in control, Dennis Hauger, the Norwegian nightmare, the Indy Next champion, somehow keeps it out of the wall. That was astonishing. We'll be back to Phoenix. Wow.
but Marcus is there, so I can't use it now. Yeah, 10-4. Right before the caution came out, there were two guys still using that half lane high 1-2 that looked like it was still working. Yeah, copy. How's the car, Will? How's the car? There's obviously a lot of traffic, so kind of on top of the road, but keeping it within balance. Copy that. Stay out. Now, for what it's worth, Will's found some success kind of middle to high lane out there, so it looks like that might be coming in. Okay. He's moved up, he's P14 now, so the back obviously. So.
Copy that, yeah. Like I said, the car just feels very loose right now, so let me work with it a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're doing a good job, and we're in a great position right now. Everything's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep rolling the high line there. Good.
All right, one to go.
is off. Leader has the field. Main leader is lap time is entering 1. Remember the restart zone. Everything where you want it for the start here. Ready. Rolling. Green. They've got front back, got one onto the top here. You're still clear, whatever you need. Goodbye 2, whatever you want. Goodbye 5. The low. Outside barely. Caution's out. All clear. Alright. Start backing down easy. I got a safety truck up top in the middle of the backstretch. Arenas needs to go around us. Once we get past this scene, we'll let him by. You see the safety truck at the top and the 10-car stop at the bottom. Yes, copy. Just use tire restart, very slippery. Yeah, copy. Yeah, it would have hurt their tires a bit, yes. Other safety vehicle drivers right here in the dog lane. We still got a tire advantage on these guys up front here, so we'll just be working on that. Copy. Six to the flat line.
We'll be good with the cars on pit lane.
You're going to be coming to one to go. All right, we're going to be one to go at the line. One to go at the line. See everybody checking up at the bottom. You can go to the top. It's going to be green next time by. You can go gold.
You can go orange 4.
2.
Orange 4 if you want.
And get ready for the restart. Over to you, Mark.
It's going to be for Marucci out back here. Leaders in the middle, 1 and 2. Gold 1. Gold 1.
1.15. Cars can go as far as 95 to 100. We're currently P18. 1 lap down to the leaders. They're starting their second pit cycle. Just keep plugging away here. best we can. We'll try to give you as much info as we can. Let's finish this race strong.
Yep, copy that.
We are 97 laps to go at the line. 97 to go. Laps to go, 80.
mean, there's definitely something broken. I just don't know what.
He swerved. Does anything feel weird? I see he swerved.
I'm not sure.
Watch the sweeper side.
Pits are open.
That's such a good reference. I don't know what's supposed to.
Try to talk loud into your mic when you speak. Kind of soft.
I have such a big vibration, I just don't know where it comes from. But I mean, we just gotta go, right? Like there's no.
For that, we're going to go win this thing. Time by, there'll be 37 laps left. Everything looks good on the data. Everything looks good to packing. They did sweep turn 3 this time, but I wouldn't say it was higher than what we consider fast. Once this thing goes green, we'll go and see what we got. If it feels bad, we'll just have to pit. Be ready to adjust your tools. Be ready to adjust your tools.
Right.